This
All
is
right.
George Sanger, the mighty fat man himself.
And I'm Cindy. Nice to be back with you in our final heat of the day.
Cindy, let's see. I think we've got another judge, don't we?
We do. Today we have Billy with us.
Billy, you're much touted around here, and people speak of your name with hushed reverence. Would you mind giving us a 30-second introduction to who you are?
Yeah, no problem. I'm an airline pilot with Southwest and have been there for about 20 years, and I'm the second investor with Agora, with Andy.
Great.
Well, that'll
Nice
do. That carries enough weight around here for me. All right, folks. And you have the nickname Angel with Wings. Is that correct?
I think so.
All right. Well, let's give our 2 minutes of attention to Peter concerning his startup company, Near to There. Peter, I'll introduce it. We have 15 seconds left.
Okay.
Anytime, it's all yours.
Shall I?
Hit it.
My name is Peter Olfe, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Near to There. Near to There was founded by both myself and my co-founder. We're two experienced entrepreneurs who are passionate about location-based services and about world travel. Near to There, location-sensitive to-go list. We give you easy ways to capture all of the places that you want to go to. We give you maps and directions when you're near to that place. And if you forget about it, we'll alert you when you're near to that place. So let me talk about one of the ways to capture locations. This is the Near to There button. That is on participating sites. So what that is it's just like a Facebook or Twitter share button. You click on it below that article. It saves the URL of that article and the location of that place that's written about to your phone. So next time you're near that restaurant, you get a link back to the review that you read online. Another way to capture places is on the phone. How many times does somebody say, oh, you're going to New York, you got to go to this restaurant? You can simply type in the name of the restaurant, state, we look up the rest for you, and then you have it onto your list. Our business model is very simple. We've got location-based advertising already on the app. And where we really hope to make money in the future is that we're capturing intent, where you want to go, where you intend to go. It's not just interest like other things, but this is very much of intent, and that's very valuable data for both publishers and for the travel industry. Our competitive advantage lies in the fact that we have the most battery-efficient solution out there. You will not notice a significant change in your battery consumption, despite the fact that we're checking where you are much of the time. We're available on iPhone and Android, and we're presently seeking $500,000 to further develop the application and to promote it.
Beautiful. Great. Cindy, who do you feel like starting with?
Let's start with Alan. Questions from you, Alan.
Hey, Peter. Very interesting concept. Can you just tell me a little bit about, have you tested this out? You have, go ahead.
We just launched the latest version of it on iPhone at the beginning of this year. We have a few thousand downloads. We're focusing right now on the travel industry, so we're getting very active in different travel publications, travel communities, and getting the buzz out there. But it's we're getting people to change their behavior, so it's going to take some time.
How are you going to spend the $500,000, and when, at what point, do you project some kind of revenue flow here?
We already have a trickle of revenue flow, but the $5,000 will mainly be for the development, the improvement of our Android app. Right now, it's an older version that we really need to update. Second is very much on developing some of these partnerships that we've started discussions with Lonely Planet, San Francisco Chronicle, a number of major publications that we want to partner with, and so that would very much help with that. We've also had some demand for a white label solution of this.
Okay, great, thank you. Questions from Joe? I'm sorry. Questions from Mark. Joe is laughing.
Joe is suspiciously quiet.
Lassie.
Okay.
Mark,
I'll change
go
my
ahead.
name. Okay. The hi Peter. The LBS market is pretty crowded, like many of these app markets, and your basis for differentiation kind of bothered me in terms of longevity, and that's you're more efficient on the battery. Well, battery is going to be more efficient, phones are going to be more efficient. So hanging your hat on that kind of concerns me for a long term. Is there anything else that really differentiates you?
Well, there is very much of something that we want to see as first movers advantage is if you look at any website that has share buttons, they're generally limited to about 3 or 4, and that's a very difficult space to get into. You've got Facebook on most sites, and that's about it. There's maybe email, things like that. They're not willing to add that many more buttons to your site. There are no other sites out there doing location bookmarking. We want to be the first. We're aggressively approaching many different publishers. Once we're on there, it'll be hard to get us off.
Okay. That's a better explanation. You should lead with that next time. Location bookmarking. That's what you do.
Okay, and Billy, let's hear your question.
Well, I travel a lot. Let's say I'm in a city and, I get inundated a lot with someone saying, well, you've got to try this certain restaurant. You've got to try this or that. Well, I'm not very tech oriented. Do you give turn by turn instructions to get there?
Yes. And actually, inundated by do this, do that. The good thing about this is it's only places you've said you want to go to. We're not saying, oh, I like French restaurants. Remind me by every French restaurant
Right.
I go to. It said, you said I want to be reminded when I go by this place.
Or someone else can send me a recommendation. So if I get their recommendation, like you've got other apps for the iPhone, like City Search. Well, they just inundate you with a bunch of selections, and you get too many options, so you just kind of blow it off and go to what's near to you. With yours, if I want to go to a particular restaurant that a friend recommends, it'll give me directions from my hotel all the way there?
Exactly.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Are we ready for feedback?
Yes, we're ready for feedback. But right before we go to feedback, I want to just interject. Fred, if you are listening to me, we need you to pay attention to the text window, the little chat window on your screen so that you can see the messages that are coming in from Grand Central Station. Now, moving on.
Okay, score and feedback from Alan.
Yeah, so I get an advantage here because you're listening to the questions from Billy and Mark. I think that you have a lot more value here than your original spiel came across. So I'm kind of was a little confused in my head, and it started to tighten it up. So I think that you could really work on pitch that would take you much further forward. I'm also still not sure what you're going to do with $500,000. I get developing, the software and so on, maturing that, but I think your idea is great, and you've got to move it really fast on it. And I'd probably rate this a 4.0. Thanks for letting me listen in.
Oh, great. And Mark, can we hear your feedback?
Yes, Peter. To be honest, I was going to give you a 3 until you repositioned just everything's in packaging. The concept of location book marketing is new. It's something that can be sold and something a first mover advantage. So I'll give you a 4.5 based on that.
4.5. And finally, from Billy.
Well, I'll give you about a 4.3 or so. What I really like, it's technically oriented, but it's personal touch. I'm traveling, if I travel, I'm in an impersonal city. I might want to go somewhere that a friend has personally recommended, and that rates very high with me, much more so than a generic search. And so I really like that aspect of this, and I don't think you really covered that in the way you described it.
Okay, helpful feedback. Great scores. Thank you so much, Peter. That was lovely.
We appreciate it.
Makes me want to travel.
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. I get the hint. All right. We're going to move on to Tony from Dialed In. You've been real patient, Tony, and you've been online for a long time today. I hope you're ready to rock it. Will you just just say something for us, and let's make sure we get your audio. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Did you hear that all right?
We heard it all right, and your tone, your timbre is magnanimous.
I'm singing a new song today, so I'm glad to hear that. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll begin our presentation as soon as you want to start the pitch.
Okay, great. I saw an investment pitch final last fall, and the company that won the day built a generator that could be submerged in a flowing stream with a rope and cord to deliver portable power to third world countries. Now imagine your browser as a stream and the content you view like water flowing past you. Dialed in is a radical extension to bookmarking, available with clicks and keys just below the surface of your browsing stream, allowing you to take notes, tag, illustrate, and interrelate the content you find noteworthy. Most of us still browse the old-fashioned way and have that nagging feeling that energy within the various currents of our browsing stream may be flowing away untapped. We repeat the same research time and time again with unreliable results. The cord running from dialed in stores the power of your research within a secure and expanding personal web. Search with keywords and see results from within your research timeline. Flip switch and even restore all of the tabs from a prior research session. Add summary notes and then share your annotated research privately or back to the web through your favorite social networks. Your friends and coworkers can absorb energy from your shared research, add the power of their own insights, and contribute a dream. Who says energy can't be created? But without these tools, a lot of the energy of the web is being wasted. Our next version will provide global social connections based on mutual interest on specific content users share. Use dialed in passively, and you'll extract power just by searching your research timeline. Use it more actively, and your personal web starts to feel like the web itself, except without advertising. Longer term, we'll focus the power of the personal web and build vertical applications in fields like healthcare, law and law enforcement, pure research, and education. The guys with the generator said, "We're turning water into money." We say, time is money and will save you lots of browsing time. By the way, we're not looking for any funding right now except a small amount that we might crowdsource. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Cindy, pick one.
Well, let's go straight to Billy. Let's hear some questions from you, Billy.
I like it because it seems to co-locate a lot of information, and it keeps, if you want to put a boundary on the information stream instead of kind of shooting from the hip, I like it. I'll give it about a 4.3. It kind of takes, allows you to put a personal touch on the direction you want research to go in for your team.
Hey, Billy, I'm not sure you were supposed to judge me yet. You're supposed to ask me questions, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Interesting.
Okay, sorry about that. No,
you know, you'd think one of us would notice that.
Yeah.
We trust him so implicitly.
I didn't want to be prejudged. Somebody else was actually influenced by some other questions, so I don't want to miss that. So
that is true. Hold your scoring for now, and let's go to.
Well, Billy, do you have any questions?
Why would you give him a 4.5? Okay. Billy, do you have some questions you'd like to ask?
Now, how will you develop your revenue stream with this?
Right. The revenue stream, we're not going to do advertising because we believe this information is personal and private until you share it. We are actually going to go strongly with either a paid app model or a freemium model. All right, and the reason for that is we are going to save you so much time browsing that I've actually run this particular thing by particular users. Some people buy a coffee every day at Starbucks and spend $20 a month. If we charged $1 a month, okay, our revenue stream would be sufficient given the number of people browsing out there, and that will be good enough for us. But we won't pursue advertising ourselves. Our exit strategy is probably going to hook in with one of the big social networkers or browser companies or search companies like Google, which might change the terms. We would encourage them to keep the information of the user really private unless they explicitly share it, and that's going to be our model. Thanks.
See, what I like about it, you kind of put a personal touch.
Okay, do that during your feedback part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Billy's, we are all new game.
Yes.
But this is Billy's first day on the judging job. Let's go over to Mark. Mark,
Billy, very, very interesting. I've been involved with a lot of search models, a lot of market research myself. What you're talking about is surely needed. I'm concerned, or I have questions about ease of use, because no matter how powerful a tool is, if it's too complex, so that I'm thinking more about how to use it than getting the results, that becomes a problem in adaptability.
That's a really good question if that was really phrased in the form of a question.
Yes.
But what we've done is something very different than other sites that do things like basic bookmarking. Our product, again, sits just below your browsing stream. And by that we mean we're not a site. When you're on any page, if you select some text and simply hit, there's accelerator keys. If you hit NN, a note window pops up with the selected text and allows you to do your own notes. If you want to illustrate the comment and say that particular picture on a page really describes this page, hover over the picture and hit I for illustration, and it'll associate that particular image than the other 9 on the page with that thing. You could illustrate with 5 pages if you want to. If you want to connect the author's link to the page so that whenever you find the page, you'll find that particular author, just hit CC for combine whenever you're over that. Now, that's not the only interface. Those are the accelerators. There are pop-up interfaces where if you just hold the mouse button down, the interface is to enrich, review, and share content, including sharing to Facebook.
All right. We have to move on to give our final judge a question.
Thanks.
Alan?
Yeah, fascinating, Tony. I'm kind of interested in this concept, and that is, so Apple has come out with Siri, artificial intelligence, which is essentially over the top. Does that obsolesce what you're doing at some point, since you're kind of running underneath the browsers?
It really doesn't, because what happens is when you're browsing, you might browse through 10 pages, do a search, click a link, go 3 levels deep, clicking through, and eventually you have what I call the instant of information insight. That means you know that you'll want to get back to this page at some point in the future. And then doing any of the actions, taking note, illustrating it, or all the other actions, will allow you to search your personal web using keywords. Now, with Siri, you could speak those keywords and say, search dialed in for apple pie, okay? And it will find all of the content that you have commented or tagged with those keywords, and in addition, all of the browsing sessions that you've done over time that may have included that page. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And it's time to move on to a little bit of scoring and feedback. Alan, you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. So my only concern is, I think what you're doing is tremendous. You're very articulate. This is a great concept. Is this eclipsed by what the big gorillas are doing in the market, and or what artificial intelligence is doing across the top? I think your answer was no. I'm jazzed about what you're up to, and certainly a 4.5. And plus, you're not looking for money yet.
Thanks.
4.5. All right. Mark, will you grace us with a score and some feedback?
Yes, I agree with Alan. My only concern, well, 2 of them, was the scalability, because doing something on a limited scale with limited users is one thing, and until I know how you really are going to technically scale it, I have concerns. The second is really what's your business model. I mean, you talked about a freemium, but any idea of projections, I didn't really hear from you. Given that, I still give you a 4.5.
4.5. Wonderful. And moving on to Billy, now you can tell us why you liked the pitch.
I liked it a lot. What I liked about it was you take something that's technical, but you give it a personal touch. The question I had is kind of what Mark just raised. I don't really think I understand the revenue generating, because when you take something that on the web and add a personal touch to it, you cannot inundate it with ads or whatever. It'd be too impersonal. But I'm not completely sold on the subscription service part.
Interesting. So now that you've heard everything, what do you figure your score is going to be?
The same, 4.3.
4.3. All right. Well, looks like that's going to be a nice score for Tony. Thank you very much for joining us. And we're gonna move on to our third contestant, Debbie. Can we hear you speak just a little bit? Okay, we don't hear you yet. Maybe are you muted on your end or our end?
No, that was me. I'm sorry about that. I had mute on.
That is okay. We owe you a couple of forgivenesses for technical issues in the past.
Thank you. I'll take them.
You sound good. Your video is good, and I know you can always make a great pitch in the allotted 2 minutes. So you tell me when to start timing.
Start. I'm Debbie Levitt, founder of CheckinOn.me. In 2009, I was single and living alone, and I realized that if I didn't come home on time from an online date or a business meeting, who would know and when? I had friends text me at certain times, and when I responded with a predetermined code word, they knew it was really me and that I was okay. Check-in on Me is an automated personal safety system designed for mobile phones. It will check on you as often as you want, whenever you want. If we don't get the right response at the right time, we contact your selected and confirmed friends and family. We'll give them everything we know about where you are and what you're doing. Our phone app maps everybody and opens up a text chat so that all the friends can determine who's close by and how to get help if it's needed. Other phone apps are panic buttons. You have to launch and activate them once the trouble has begun, if you can. Our system is proactive. Even if you can't get to your phone or respond to our check-in, a lack of response can still trigger an emergency notification. You can even appear to dismiss our check-in and still trigger an emergency notification. Check-in on Me makes money from monthly subscription fees as well as API licensing. I filed a provisional patent a year ago, and we're getting in the full patent this month. And I'm just starting in an incubator in San Francisco. So Check-in on Me is perfect for anybody whose lifestyle, hobby, or job brings them in contact with strange people or places, like online Craigslist transactions, realtors showing houses, social workers going into troubled homes, college kids having a social life, travelers and couch surfers, stay-at-home parents who are afraid of every knock on the door, and the elderly or infirm. So think about any time you or someone you love was concerned about how, when, who would get them help if trouble suddenly sprung out of nowhere. Check-in on Me is a reliable virtual buddy system that solves that problem.
Wow, she is good. All right, folks, let's throw it right. That was exactly 2 minutes. Let's throw it over to the questions, and we'll start with Alan. Go ahead.
So what are you looking for at this stage? I mean, what do you need? How much money? How much time to move forward with this?
Well, shipping our Android app later this week as a public beta. So in order to move forward, we will be seeking $500,000 to mostly cover some salaries and marketing, and then the eventual business development and evangelism of our API.
And where do you see this turning a net for you? At what point?
Do you mean when do I think we'll have a profit?
Yes.
I would expect that to come, well, I guess it depends when the funding comes, but I would expect that to be next year, because I think it's going to take us a certain amount of time to grow the user base, but more so the people developing on the API platform. I think that's where most action will come for us.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah. Debbie, in today's world, there's no question we need products like this. Unfortunately, we do. But as good as a product is that protects you, it can be misused the other way. If you're gathering all this information because you must be holding it for your subscribers or members, whatever way they're coming on board, if you're hacked, if the security isn't good enough, it can start being used the opposite way. You know, it becomes a stalker's paradise. What have you done to prevent that from happening?
Well, I think that's going to be true for any app that's collecting anything about anyone's locations or preferences. The current plan, and this is an idea we're still kicking around, but the current plan is to only keep information for a number of weeks. And that way, if we don't hear from the police or the family that the data is needed for any sort of investigation, we have no reason to keep old data. We don't need an archive of where people have been or what they were doing. So the current plan is to only keep that for a limited amount of time and then erase that from our system.
Or you could rename the product Stalker's Paradise.
Yeah.
That's my business model. All right, Billy, please ask your question.
Do not judge me based on what he just said.
Absolutely.
Hey, I think it sounds fantastic. I think it's very much needed. I know it's proactive. When you roll out subscriptions, how many subscriptions would you need to, considering the size of the company, to turn a profit?
I was, again, assuming the $500,000 funding, we're looking at charging approximately $4 a month for this subscription, or a discounted rate of maybe $30, $40 a year. So how many of those would we have to get to turn a profit over the funding that we get? I haven't done the exact math on that, only because I believe that the bulk of our revenue will end up coming from API thing rather than our own app. I ultimately think people will build better versions and private labeled versions and more targeted vertical versions than our own app.
Okay, great. I think it's a wonderful product.
Okay. Well, let's go back
to
Alan and see. All right. Let's go back to Alan and see if he can pop out some feedback.
Yeah, just to mirror Mark, I think this is a product. I was actually discussing this with my wife not long ago about putting chips in our kids so that we could find them instantly when there was a problem, and it brings up some of the other, moral and legal issues. I think it's a good idea. I think that we have a compressed time here. I'd surely like to hear you talk more about how you monetize this product and move this forward. I'll give you a 4.5 on it. Thanks.
Thanks.
4.5. Mark, a score and some feedback.
Okay. Debbie, I wasn't being negative. The issue is investors don't want to buy liabilities or future liabilities. So those things have to be carefully monitored. On the other end, a vertical markets, just like Alan was saying, I have kids. I always want to know where they are. They're 12 to 14. Most kids have phones from the age of 10. So I think there's verticals. I think you have a play with police, because sometimes missing kids or tie into that type of thing, missing persons, that could be working to different types from the FBI down. So I believe you have potential, but there are a lot of caveats. I give you a 4.2.
Billy, her fate is in your hands. What do you got?
I'll say a 4.8. I think it would roll out quickly. I think I'm not going to say it would go viral, but among certain segments of the population, like parents, I think it would go very fast.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
You know that.
For some reason, I'm thinking it will go viral. It's just the voices in my head, maybe. Okay, Debbie, you are the greatest. You're free to go now, and we'll be back with the results at some point. At 5:30, we're going to come. Oh wait, one question though before you go. Andy wanted to know where you were broadcasting from.
I happen to be in a co-working space in downtown San Francisco right now.
Fantastic. All right, thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Right. See you. Email me.
Bye-bye.
All right. Fred, how are you doing?
I'm good. Very good, thank you.
Wonderful. And it sounds like even though there is a little lag, we can hear you just beautifully. Got some nice bass in the tone there. We like that. And if you're ready, we'll go ahead and start this 2-minute timer. When it's time when you start giving your pitch. So anytime, you may begin.
All right, hi, my name is Fred Dewey, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kachingle. We are the saviors of freemium. Many web-based and native PC applications are using the freemium revenue model, where they offer many of their features for free, and then if you want to use their advanced features, you have to subscription fee. To be profitable, freemium vendors need to convert 3 to 5% of their free users into paying customers. Studies show that most freemium vendors, unfortunately, are only converting around 1 or at the most 2% of their users, leaving them without a profitable business model. Users are reluctant to start paying for the premium services because the free services usually are good enough, and the premium features of the app are just not valuable. So we've created a large bundle of the premium features of many web and PC apps, which is a much more compelling offer to users than just the premium features of one particular app. That's because the user is now getting $50 a month worth of value for only $5. So many users are going to buy that bundle with the individual app. Additionally, because the app vendors are now pooling all their users, each app has access to a much, much larger. We already have 100 million users in the network from our first app, which is Vera. As app vendors join the bundle and bring all their users, the user base will grow to more than 200 million users. We're conservatively estimating that about 3 or 4% of our pool of users we build will sign up for the bundle and generate an increase in revenue for each of the app vendors of between 200 and 500%. It takes them all the way from their current unsustainable state to profitable. What makes this all possible is our revolutionary micropayment platform.
15
seconds.
seconds.
For more than 2 years and have we raised $500,000 in our angel round, and now we're raising a $2 million Series A. Freemium is not working well for many vendors. We are coming to the rescue.
All right. We had a little bit of audio difficulty during that, and so I think
a lot of audio. I heard only about 20% of what he said.
You know what I'd like to do? Guys, it's the end of the day. We've got a little time. It's not up to me, but if you don't mind, Fred, let me do a little sound check on you and allow you to give your pitch a second time. Will you please consider move your microphone up over your nose? Okay, just swivel it up so that it's over your nose. Now talk to us a little bit.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Audio check for Dewey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is on.
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, much better.
That's much better.
Okay, there's a little sound man intuition for you. All right, Fred, if you don't mind, let's have you give your pitch again.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for the second try. So hi, my name is Fred Dewey, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BeInToo. We are the saviors of freemium. Many web-based and native PC applications are using the freemium revenue model, where they offer many of their features for free, and then if you want to use their advanced features, you pay a monthly subscription fee. To be profitable, freemium vendors need to convert about 3 to 5% of their free users into paying customers. Unfortunately, studies show that most freemium vendors are only converting at the most 1 or 2% of their users, which leaves them without a viable business model. Users are reluctant to start paying for the premium services because the free service is good enough and the premium services are just not valuable enough. So we've created a large bundle of the premium features of many web and PC apps, which is a much more compelling offer to the users than just the premium features of one particular app. Because the user is now getting $50 a month worth of value for only $5 a month, and therefore more users will buy the bundle. Additionally, because the app vendors are now pooling their users, each vendor has access to a much, much larger base of users. We already have 100 million users in our network, thanks to our first app, which is Vera. And as app vendors join the bundle and bring all their users, the user base will go more than 200 million users. We're conservatively estimating that 3 to 4% of that huge pool of users will sign up for the bundle, generate a revenue uplift for each app vendor of between 200 and 500%, which will take them from unsustainable all the way to profitable. What makes this all possible is our revolutionary micropayment platform, which has been up and running for more than 2 years and has a patent pending on.
15 seconds.
We raised $500,000 in our angel round, and now we're raising a $1 million Series A. Freemium is not working well for many vendors, and Kachingo is coming to the rescue.
Beautiful. Were you judges? Were you able to hear them all right this time?
Much better.
A little better.
A little better.
All right. Okay, we had distortion, but I believe all the words sort of came through. Fred, I'll just advise you that when you answer any questions, speaking softly will work best.
Okay, good.
All right. And let's go ahead and see if we can run some questions. Judges, let's take advantage of the fact that these are questions. If there are some areas where you didn't quite feel satisfied that you heard what was going on, you can ask your question directed at that area. Let's start with Billy this time. Billy, are you ready?
Ready. I mean, from the consumer's point of view, I like it, but are you sure that the numbers that you said in your talk there, how you benefit the other app developers and users, or in their profitability? I'm not quite following that.
Okay, yeah, good question. So the basic idea is we get, instead of 1 or 2% of a relatively small base of users paying, we get 3 to 4% of 100 or 1,000 times larger user base paying something. So we go from a few people paying a fair amount to many, many, many people paying a little bit. And our sophisticated revenue modeling we've done shows that generates the revenue uplift of 2x, 5x.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And Mark, you want to ask a question?
If Fred, I want to make sure I understand your basic business. Other than birding people at a higher rate, are you bundling third-party software?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're doing.
The issue becomes, how do you select a bundle? I mean, just because I want more of a upscale product and willing to maybe to pay for it and convert over a bundle, I want to make sure everything in that bundle is something I use. So unless I can self-configure that bundle, I'm not sure how value the total package. It's kind of like buying a grab bag.
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you asked, because it is a question, yeah. And and we actually have a really good answer for it. So we're going to put probably around 30 to 50 apps into the bundle, and then we'll sell 5-packs and 10-packs and 20-packs for different price points. The 5-pack will probably be $5 a month, and they'll probably be $9 a month, that kind of thing. So you pick any 5 out of the 30 or 40 or 50, or if you buy the 10-pack, you can pick any 10. So literally, users create their own bundle based on their needs.
Are you, just one follow-up question, are you, because it's key to that, what's the selection? Is it a selection mostly of personal apps, business apps, and what industries are the apps from?
Yeah, we have a bunch of different bundles. The initial bundle is what we call the prosumer bundle. It's different kinds of utility apps, everything from video production, presentation creation, backup, file sharing, those sorts of things.
Thank you.
Okay, Alan.
Sure. Yeah, Mark was kind of hammering away on what I was curious about. I mean, do you have even a cafeteria style approach where somebody might select their own 20 top apps that they want to use? Because we do have app morass right now. I mean, there's thousands of apps out there.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. It's a cafeteria menu you pick off. We line up the partners. Surely for the first 18 months, we're giving app vendors category exclusivity. After that, it'll be a free-for-all. But the users will pick off the menu what they want.
Did I catch your number right that you said on your first bundle, this first time, you have 100 million users? Was that number right?
Yeah, that's correct. Avira, they're the number 2 freemium security and antivirus software app, have joined our bundle, and they have more than 100 million users they're bringing to the table.
Wow.
Right.
This is great.
Okay. Well, if you guys are ready to move on to the final score giving of the final round to determine the final 8, let's do it. Billy, a score and some feedback. Billy, if you're there, we're not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'll say a 4.2. It almost seems overwhelming. I've got so many apps now, and maybe I'm not understanding the process. I'll go with a 4.2.
Okay. Mark?
One question before I answer that. Is there any revenues?
No, we haven't even opened it yet. We have the software is completely built. We're doing our final tests. The micropayment engine's already been in production for 2 years. The bundling piece of it is in test right now. We're going to be launching in May or early June with Avira and 4 or 5 other apps that we're signing up initially.
I'll give you a 4.2 at this stage.
Okay, 4.2. And
so, yes, you were throwing it to me. I just, as I mentioned, I think that we are overwhelmed with the number of apps being cranked out right now, and consumers are really confused. So something like this, I think, could be really like a lightning rod and very helpful. I think your name is very appropriate too. This sounds like a money machine to me, as long as you don't get into some kind of proprietary battles with LinkedIn or others that have that type of model that you're talking about, where they charge for the basics. I like this a lot. I think this is probably a 4.8. I'd like to bet on this one.
4.8. That's very exciting. Okay, well, there's a lot of adding I'm going to have to do here. And fortunately, I do like to add. So, folks, this has been a great round. Thank you, Fred. I'm starting to feel I'm really good friends with all these startups, and I just hate to see anyone eliminated from the contest, but we're going to have to do it, and I'm going to have to retire for a few minutes and add up all the scores. Those of you who are watching, we'll see you back here on the air. We're going to take a little break, and we'll come back here about 5:30. It might be a little bit later, and we'll get on, and we'll give you the scores and let you know who the winners of the Sweet16 to Final 8 are. Thanks very much, and if you have any questions and you haven't already done it, log into AgoraStartupIdol.com, sign in, register, and bang around in there and get you some points and influence the startups of today and tomorrow. Thanks very much, and let me know when we're off the air so I can stop smiling.